Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a long time since I've posted a video. COVID-19 is happening. I'm working from home, taking care of my kids. By the time they're asleep and I can actually make a video, I'm dead tired. I end up falling asleep too. But I just wanted to make this video because there's something I needed to get off my chest. When George Floyd died, I actually did create a video and I never ended up posting it because I was kind of concerned about how I came off in that video. I never watched the George Floyd death video. Couldn't do it. I'm a researcher of ancestry and genealogy. I'm a student of black history. I've seen countless images and I've seen videos of our people being murdered and tormented and tortured at the hands of white people and of police. I've seen the pictures of Emmett Till. I've seen the various lynchings that went on throughout North America, where there are hordes of people that gathered to watch a lynching and then they put it on a postcard and send it to their friends. I've seen black people that were set on fire. I've seen black people being beaten in the streets. And of course, there's the Rodney King beating by the police in 1992. And I've seen the Eric Gardner in Philando Castile videos and all the videos that are contemporary, like Sandra Bland, Alton Sterling, all that stuff. We've seen it. Michael Brown, seen bodies laying in the street, seen it. Didn't have to, nor do I want to see George Floyd's video. Um, but after he died, I made this video and I was talking about my life and experiences that I've had with racism. But I didn't feel too comfortable posting that one for a number of reasons. So I said, you know what? Maybe at some point I'll remake the video and I'll post it then. Well, I was watching the news a couple nights ago and I heard the transcript of George Floyd's encounter with the police. That must have been the most heart-wrenching thing that I've ever heard in my life. And it made me actually emotional. My wife and I were watching it together. And it's unbelievable how calloused some people could be. I think it was that same night I was reading through my news feed and there was a conversation about racism happening between a couple of my friends. And these aren't conversations that are new. Like I've seen conversations like this in my news feed. Sometimes I respond, sometimes I don't. But I think maybe in order for people to really understand, maybe it might hit a little closer to home if they know somebody that's been through an experience with the police or with racism, if they know that person personally. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to remake this video now. I'm going to share my experience. Well, experiences, some of them, because I've been living for over 30 years. I've had many experiences with racism. And there's probably even some unknowing experiences that I've had that if I think hard enough, I could recount as well. But this is a while ago. This is a long time ago. And I was standing at a bus stop looking down the street. And from behind me, I heard, "Get your hands up." So I put my hands up slowly. And I looked back and I saw a police officer and he had his hand on his gun. And he was in this stance like if I made a wrong move, he was ready to pull it out quickly and shoot. So I put my hands up and I was standing at a busy intersection in northwest Toronto where I'm from. And prior to the police being there, the traffic was free flowing. But now the traffic came to a standstill. And my hands are up in the air. The police has his hand on his gun, and these cars, these people in the cars, they're looking at me. And they're looking at me as if I deserved to be treated the way that this police officer was treating me. I was so embarrassed. I was so mortified and embarrassed to be being viewed in that light. Well, by this time, the police officer was on me and everything was in slow motion. Police officer's on me and he's patting me down, looking for weapons. And I'm asking the police officer, why are you doing this to me? I didn't do anything. I'm just standing here. Why are you doing this to me? I didn't do anything. And the police officer said, you fit the description. Whatever description that was could have been any black person because I'm average height, average build. I just happen to be black. So after he finished patting me down, he said I could put my hands down. I had to give him my name and my address, and I had to tell him what I was doing there. And I didn't want to disclose any of that information, but I felt like if I didn't, something bad would happen to me. Because I've known of encounters between my friends and the police that did not end up well at all. And on top of that, I knew about Rodney King, knew about that experience. I remember seeing that video on TV of the police beating him down in the United States. So I knew that black people and the police, those encounters don't end well a lot of the time. So I gave him that information, and luckily, I was able to go on my way. Luckily, I was able to go on my way. I share that because if I made a wrong move or I did something that the police officer might have found to be disrespectful, no matter how innocent I may have been, or if the police officer was just having a bad day, no matter how innocent I may have been, I could have also been George Floyd. And that goes for any other black man or woman in North America. We recognize that at any moment, we could have been George Floyd. We could have been Alton Sterling, Philando Castile, Trayvon Martin, Breonna Taylor, Sandra Bland. We could have been any of these people. And that's why we fight. And we've been fighting and talking about this for a long time. I kind of shared a little bit of this story way back when Trayvon Martin was murdered. If you scroll back in my Facebook feed, you'll see me with a hoodie on. And I say that I was a victim of police brutality as well. This has to stop. Systemic racism needs to stop, and it clearly exists. I'm tired of having to talk with people who claim that it doesn't. Like, I am. And I got love for people. I do. I got love for white people. And I understand that maybe they just can't empathize because they haven't been in these shoes. And hey, I come from an area that was low income and looked down on by the local government. I remember in high school there was a shooting. And I remember after the shooting, listening to the news, and our city and our official for that area of the city where I'm from said that our part of the town was a wasteland and that zombies lived there, some nonsense like that. That's how we were looked at. The place where we lived was looked at as like a wasteland. Now that area is being gentrified. Racism is real. To make it through the education system, you got to make it through racist teachers. That's an added hump that we have to climb. And I'm not saying all teachers are racist or all police are bad, because I've had some great teachers. I had some fantastic ones. But there were my share of racist teachers. And we know that they're racist when um, they assume that I couldn't read. I was in seventh grade, and the teacher assumed that I couldn't read. And was shocked when I showed her that I could read. That was amazing. And then I went on to study computer science in university. And the way people spoke to me when I was in university, I remember people calling me a dog and trying to speak to me in slang, and they don't even understand what they were saying. I had to tell them, listen, I don't speak like that. Speak to me properly. To which they apologized. And graduating from university and going into the workforce and being the one black man in a number of the companies that I worked for, or if not the one black man, part of a small minority in computer science and software development, and dealing with colleagues that I worked with. I remember in one company, and this always gets me because a coworker had the comfort level to say to me, I was going to say gall, but he had the comfort level because I feel like he wouldn't say this to just anyone. I think he felt like he respected um, my intellect and he respected the work that I did. So he felt like he could address me on this level. So he said to me, you know what the problem is with black people? The problem is that black parents don't push their children to excel in academics. They push their children to excel in athletics. That was one of the, or probably the most prejudiced thing I've ever heard from like someone say that to me in front of my face. The gall to say something that racist and prejudiced, that black parents don't push their children to exceed in academics. That's what they think. I had to correct him on that. I said, where did you get that information from? I told him that every black parent I know have pushed their children to excel and do the best they possibly could in academics. And that there's systemic issues that cause children to leave the education system, especially in STEM programs. I actually wrote a paper about that in university in a computer ethics course. But since then, in 2017, Google even did a study about that, the digital divide and how we can bridge it. That same coworker said something to me. He he, he hipped me to some secret white stuff. He said that there's this website that white people go to. Some white people. I'm not going to say all white people. That some white people go to. It was called Stormfront. And if someone was looking for a place to live, they'd go on Stormfront and sent out a message, is this area a good place to live? And on Stormfront, they'd say, oh, no, too many black people living there, too many Indian people living there. You don't want to live in a place like that. You know what? You need to move to this whiter area. And I remember one day I was coming home from work and I was on the bus, and it's a special bus. It was a Go bus, and I was coming up into Brampton, and some passengers were going into another city a little more north of Brampton, a little more white city. That city is predominantly white. Brampton is a predominantly multicultural city. So when we got off the highway and made it to downtown Brampton, one of those people said, "Okay, here's where all the cockroaches live." Black people have to navigate this day in, day out, 24/7, 365 days a year. Prejudice, racism, dehumanization, general unkindness. If you're a Christian like I am, we understand that God doesn't want people treating each other like this. And you understand that the fight for justice and equal rights that black people are advocating for and white people are beginning to listen to, it's a righteous struggle. It's righteous. And I say it's righteous because in the Bible, Micah 6, verse 8, this is what it says. It says, He has told you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? But to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God. Do justice, love kindness, walk humbly with your God. So if you're unjust, you're unkind, and you're not humble, you are not doing what God wants you to do. Black people have been treated unkindly, unlovingly, and the people that have tormented black people for 400 years, that is not an example of humility. So I'm just sharing this, sharing my experience, and letting everyone know that our fight truly is a righteous one. So please do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly, and this world would be a much better place. Peace and God bless.